in this physical realm or any other realm thinks to have dominion over that process, which is holy and sanctified, in my opinion, is laughable. I do not recognize those that would seek to control or contain us as spiritual beings. And this is the problem. And this looks to be at the core of all of this nastiness that's been going on in the realm for a very long time. And it's easy to point our fingers to Tesla, but there's a huge pile of evidence and, dare I say, bodies that have tried and have been subdued by these monsters, by these entities, by these, dare I say, demonic powers and principalities that seek to control us.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that, on the high up levels, they know exactly what I'm doing. Now, when you get to the man level of like these agents and people running a lot of these government agencies, they don't really have a clue. They just know they're taking their orders. And so everything gets watered down. So, a lot of stuff on their level, they don't even understand the science. They don't even have a clue how this stuff works. So for them to be the one to be able to make a judgment on it, it's like you don't even have the science to make the judgment on it because you think it should fit your science, which is basically chemistry only. But it's funny how when it comes to separation in church and state, the state, the government, has no problem enforcing that and wanting to keep you out. But they always want to be involved in your religion and your spirituality. Wait a minute, I thought there was a separation here. So they don't want you getting involved with them, but they want to get involved with you.
And they do their damnedest. And I mean damnedest, because this is the damned. They are the damned. And so this is where I want to go. You have put out, and we're going to move in and we're going to weave this throughout the conversation here. You have this book that it just perplexes me still, the Alpha-Tav body system, restoring the Hebrew bioenergetic temple. It's an incredible workbook. I said this last time, and I've said it in other live streams and stuff, that it's very much appreciated that you have spiral bound it. The paper's superior. It holds up, and it's massive. It's heavy, and the amount of knowledge in here is mind-blowing, which is part of why I wanted to get deeper into this, because I find myself at times lost, and that's why I need you, and that's why I think other people that have it need you. And so this is like a sacred tome for healing, and there's so much here that it's hard to it's just hard to, I don't have words. So let's talk about this. First of all, just to briefly sum it up, how did this come about? And a lot of it is just so deeply, it's obviously rooted in spirituality. It's obviously rooted in these energetics that move through us. It's very cohesive, and clearly what you're doing heals people, or you wouldn't have the troubles you have right now.
Yeah, and so one of the things we always tell people too is this is really a textbook. Okay, so think of like you're in college and you have to buy big textbooks. That's kind of what this is. So this is not the type of book where you just sit down and read it. There's so much information in the book, and really it's a reference book. You're going to go back to these pages over and over and over again, which is why we did the spiral bound, because I knew people were going to come back over and over to different applications in the book. So that's the first thing people have to understand. The other thing is this is thousands of years of history. And then I spent almost 12 years researching to prove what was true and what was not true about the system. So I'll describe a little bit of the history. And even with saying all that, almost a 450-page book, the funny thing about this is actually only the introduction book. I have yet to really write the intermediate and advanced books. And we could probably continue writing books for the rest of my life, because now that I have a foundational system set up, which I can rebuild all the technology I lost, really. It's kind of like Iron Man. It costs money and I could get stuff again, and I have to deal with the legal nonsense, but I'm not out of the game, because, the knowledge is in my head, and the knowledge is from a lifetime of doing this stuff. So you just can't take that away. And I have things mapped out to the point where, let's put it this way, before I get into the history. So there's very specific points on the body that are like telecommunication points. Most people are aware of acupuncture and acupressure. In acupuncture, you have these meridians, and then you have these things called acupuncture points. Well, in this system, you have energy points like that, but they're much deeper, meaning they go from the physical manifestation of the body all the way to connecting us directly to our source, the creator source. So they're not isolated to only the physical matter. Now, in this system, there's very specific points. You don't have thousands of points. And the points line up with the Hebrew letters. So that's why it's called Aleph-Tav body system. Is Aleph is the first letter, Tav is the last letter. So it's almost like saying the A to Z. In English, we would say A to Z, or beginning and end. This is kind of like a summary of all of it. Now, these points control specific things in the body. And so one of the things I had to do through those 12 years was figure out what systems of the body are related to different points. And so I have a whole map and a whole chart of all those correlations. And so a lot of the stuff in this book is just really introduction and basic information. Some of it's been passed down for thousands of years. A lot of it is my research. But we're at the point now where, since I have that stuff mapped out, if something new was to happen, like, for example, ever since 2021, when something new came on the market, all of a sudden we're having a lot of people having